Thank you very much, everyone. I'm Geoff Hamilton, and I promise to keep you awake and alert as you digest your food by talking to you about bioengineering hair follicles to unlock a new supply of hair for people in need. This is what we're developing at Stemson Therapeutics. The problem of hair loss is incredibly widespread across the human population, and many of these folks are dramatically impacted by the effects of this on their mental health. And so these people go out and they spend a lot of time and effort and billions of their own dollars to seek out solutions that will help solve this problem for them. And the problem with the available solutions today is, number one, they don't stop over the long term the inexorable process of hair loss. And two, they have no way of providing a net new supply of hair follicles. And so why is this problem so difficult? Let me take a moment to address that question by looking underneath the skin at what's going on inside these amazing little pieces of machinery called hair follicles. There's a complex set of cell types that are working together to generate this hair shaft. And some of these cells, like one that I highlight here, dermal papilla cells, are very susceptible to depletion, disruption, and destruction in the case of burns or wounds. And so as these cell types are degenerated or destroyed, you basically lose the capacity to create a hair shaft. And so really what at the root of the problem is, that a therapeutic solution that's been lacking is a way of replenishing or replacing these key cells that are necessary for driving the hair follicle. And this is where Stemson Therapeutics comes in with a brand new approach. You know, the biotech industry has made tremendous strides over the last 20 years, some of which come in the way of actually generating new supplies of cells. And so the technology that we are basing our solution on is called induced pluripotent stem cells. And this is a technology that is getting billions of dollars of investment through the pharma industry. We're the first to take this technology and apply it to regenerating hair follicles, to bioengineer brand new hair follicles for folks. And so how this works, if I drill in just a little bit, is we take these iPSCs, as they're called, and there are two properties to consider very important about iPSCs. One, they're just like embryonic stem cells. They're biologically equivalent in that they can become any cell type in the body, including hair follicle cells, and they can be reproduced to an almost limitless supply. So the scale and the source of cells is really, really critical here. And so we are the first to have the ability to take iPSCs and turn them in, or differentiate them, as it's called, into the two key cell types required to spark folliculogenesis. Those are dermal papilla cells and epithelial stem cells. And amazingly, not only do these cells that we engineer genetically match the natural cells in our hair follicles, but when you actually place them in a dish and you allow them to sort of behave, they behave just like hair follicle cells. They naturally self-organize. And here you're looking at an image here of these cells that we engineer in our lab that elongate into an early stage hair germ. You're basically looking at a picture of neogenesis of a hair follicle. And when you look at the staining of what they're doing in the lower left of our early stage sort of unstructured, unguided hair follicles, and compare that to normal human hairs on the top stain, they're basically, you see a phenomenon where it's recreating a hair follicle. Now, of course, we don't want to create sort of unstructured blobs as you see here. The solution does need structure, it needs guidance, it needs engineering. And to do that, we've designed a unique and proprietary scaffold-based unit. These are tiny little things, about 1/4 the size of a human hair follicle. And this is a component of the solution in which we can load the cells, and the scaffold supports the development of the hair follicle tissue towards a normal, natural, healthy hair follicle. So what you see in that red box there, that's essentially our product. That is a follicular unit. And we can make as many of these as the patients need, because we have a virtually limitless supply of cells, and we can make as many scaffolds as we need. And what that does, too, that unit that we've designed, it is a nice way of plugging right into what you just heard from Joe and our friends at Venus Concept, today's paradigm for hair transplant surgeries. This unit plugs right into that procedure. It can plug right into these technologies that Venus Concepts is developing, and so we have ongoing conversations about how to enable our solution on their platforms. And this would engender the ability to generate a net new supply of hair for folks. So you can see we've pulled together sort of a unique combinatorial set of technologies to go after this very complex problem, but a huge problem that could address challenges for millions of people. And we are in an early stage here. So when we first formed the company, we had some really interesting reproducible results in mice that told us we were on the right track. There's a lot about mouse results that don't translate perfectly to humans. So we are now going through trials in pigs to let us perfect this process that would be appropriate for a human skin environment and human skin anatomy. And so we are, as I mentioned, a preclinical stage company. We were lucky to get a phenomenal group of investors together over the last 2-3 years to get us going. We were lucky, actually, when Brent was still running Allergan. They were a big contributor to us getting this company up and going, and a couple of big biotech venture capitalists. So this is enabling us on this journey. We're going to need, of course, more support as we go into clinical trial. If anybody's ever interested in joining us for funding or other reasons, I would certainly encourage you to come find me and talk to me. I want to acknowledge this amazing team that we're pulling together. These are scientists, bioengineers, tissue engineers, cell biologists, amazing advisors, biotech executives, and board members that are helping guide our company towards success as we prove how this works and ultimately get into human clinical trials. We have a robust product roadmap where we're starting out by working with the patient's own cells as the starting material, product number 1, an autologous solution. We will then move into developing a much more economical solution by using a donor line of bank cells called an allogeneic product line. This would enable us to give dramatically improved pricing to open this up to a much larger portion of people. And in addition, we will be pursuing products that will be sort of the better Rogaine or the better other therapy treatment that can be applied topically or an injectable, because we have a unique access to a supply of hair follicle cells that others do not. And so to wrap this up, our roadmap here is to basically take our first product that I just mentioned through our pig studies to perfect it, to be ready to get into human trial. And we're looking for folks to help us get through that journey and join us to go after this big swing at the plate. With that, I want to thank you so much for your time, and I hope you found this engaging and exciting. Thank you very much.